The loaf of bread in your pantry is a lie. You bought it 3 days ago, yet blue fuzz is already creeping across the crust. You paid for food, but you received moisture, air, and cheap filler designed to rot. We have refrigerators, preservatives, and plastic wrap, yet we cannot keep a simple loaf edible for a week. A Roman soldier carried bread that stayed fresh for months. No chemicals, no freezing, just 4 ingredients and a process we have been too lazy to maintain. While your supermarket bread dissolves into mold, their bread was a fortress of nutrition. We didn't advance. We forgot how to bake. Walk into a Roman bakery in the year 79 AD. The first thing that hits you is not the smell of yeast, but the heat. It is a dry, intense heat radiating from a massive stone oven that occupies the entire back wall. You don't see stainless steel timers or humidity controls. You see fire and stone. You watch the baker reach into a sack of grain. This is not the bleached white powder you keep in your cupboard. It is coarse. It is heavy. When you rub it between your fingers, it feels like sand, full of the husk and the germ. This flour has life in it, unlike the dead dust we use today. He does not reach for a packet of instant yeast. That invention is a modern crutch for the impatient. Instead, you see him uncover a clay bowl in the corner. Inside is a bubbling beige sludge that smells sharp, like vinegar and old fruit. This is the mother dough. You watch him mix the flour with water and a handful of this sour sludge. He doesn't press a button on a mixer. He pushes his hands into the mass. You can see the strain in his forearms. The dough is tough. It fights back. It is not the soft, sticky foam that modern machines pump out. He works the salt into the dough. Sea salt, harvested from the coast, coarse and gray. This isn't just for flavor. Oh, he knows by instinct and tradition that this salt is the guardian of the bread. It creates a barrier against the rot. He kneads until the sweat on his brow matches the moisture in the bowl. Now comes the part that modern industry hates: the waiting. You sit in the bakery as the hours pass. The sun moves across the floor. The baker does not rush. He leaves the dough in a wooden trough, covered with heavy linen. He is letting nature do the work. Snap back to a modern factory for a second. There is no waiting here. High-speed mixers whip air into the dough to increase volume. They pump in additives to force the bread to rise in minutes, not days. They are selling you volume, not substance. They are selling you a balloon made of starch. Return to the Roman bakery. It has been a full day. The dough has transformed. It hasn't just puffed up, it has changed character. You smell it now. A deep, tangy aroma fills the room. The sourness is eating the sugars, preparing the bread to last. The baker shapes the loaves. They are dense rounds, scored with a knife to divide them into 8 sections. He stamps his name on the top. This is his promise. If this bread is bad, the whole city knows who made it. There is no corporate hotline to hide behind. He shovels the loaves into the oven. The stones inside are saturated with heat from a fire that burned all night. He seals the door with clay. This is not a 20-minute bake. The bread will stay in that inferno for over an hour. It must be purged of excess water. When he pulls the loaves out, they sound hollow when tapped. But the crust is not the thin, flaky paper you are used to. It is a shell. It is hard, thick, and dark. You could knock it against the table, and it would sound like wood. This crust is the shield. He does not bag the bread while it is warm. He stacks it on wooden racks where the air flows freely. You touch the loaf, and it is still radiating heat an hour later. It is a dense brick of energy, cooling slowly, allowing the last of the moisture to escape. Contrast this with the plastic bag on your counter. Your modern bread was sliced and bagged before it could truly dry. The moisture is trapped inside with the bread. You have created a greenhouse for mold. The plastic meant to keep it fresh is actually suffocating it. You take a Roman loaf and place it in a linen sack. You hang it in a cool, dry room. The air circulates. The bread breathes. It does not sweat. A week later you take it down. It is hard, yes, but it is not rotten. It is edible. It is food. You cut a slice. You might need to dip it in wine or oil to soften it, but the flavor is incredible. It tastes of the earth and the fire. One slice fills your stomach for the afternoon. It sits heavy and warm in your gut, fueling you for labor. Now eat a slice of your supermarket white bread. It dissolves on your tongue like cotton candy. You eat 4 slices and you are still hungry an hour later. It gave you a spike of energy, then a crash. It is not fuel, Mike. It is entertainment for your mouth. You leave the Roman bakery with a loaf that will last you until the next market day. You understand now that freshness isn't about soft textures. Freshness is about purity. The Roman baker gave you a tool for survival. The modern factory gave you a ticking clock. So why did their bread last months? It starts with the sourness. That sharp smell you noticed in the bakery was the key. By letting the dough ferment for days, the natural environment became acidic. Mold hates acid. The bread preserved itself from the inside out. Modern yeast is too fast. It acts in minutes. It pumps the bread full of gas, but creates no protective acid. The resulting bread is neutral and sweet. This is exactly what mold loves. You are literally creating a petri dish for fungus every time you buy a quick rise loaf. Then there is the moisture. The enemy of preservation is water. The Roman oven drove the water out. The thick crust sealed the remaining moisture deep inside, protecting it from the outside air. The bread dried out slowly over weeks, turning into a hard biscuit that could be rehydrated. Industrial bread is sold by weight. Water is heavy and free. Factories want the bread to be wet because it makes the loaf heavier and cheaper to produce. They sell you water at the price of wheat. That excess water is the fuel for the mold that appears in 3 days. We also forgot the importance of the container. Bread needs to breathe. When you wrap bread in plastic, you trap humidity. Any spore that lands on that loaf will thrive in the damp environment. The Romans used cloth and wood, materials that wicked moisture away. We traded the jaw-breaking crunch of real crust for the soft, cloud-like texture of modern sandwiches. But that softness is weakness. A soft crust is a broken shield. It lets air and spores penetrate the crumb instantly. The preservation of the past was not about adding chemicals, it was about subtracting what causes rot. They subtracted water, they subtracted sugar, they subtracted speed. In return, they gained a food source that could march armies across continents. You don't need a stone oven to fix this. You just need to stop buying water-filled foam. Buy sourdough that has fermented for 48 hours. Buy loaves with crusts that cut the roof of your mouth. Store them in paper or cloth. Stop feeding the mold. If this video made you look at your pantry with suspicion, subscribe. I will keep showing you what we lost. If you want to know how the Romans purified their water without chemicals, leave a like. The old ways are not dead. They are just waiting for you.